We are now starting a journey back in time to the 17th century of Saint-Malo. The inhabitants of the city, called the Maloyans, had earned their reputation as a daring sailor through the Corsairs. They made a significant contribution to the wealth of the trading town in the 17th and 18th centuries, thus shaping the most dazzling epoch of the sailor city. Traces of the former self-consciousness can still be seen in the self-image of the inhabitants today. This is the city's motto, Ni François, ni Breton, Maloyen suis. I am neither French nor Breton, but residents of Saint-Malo. One of the most famous and daring corsairs is Robert Surcouf. His adventures were glorified in privateer films.
Thunder from all pipes, on all coasts wherever he occurs. Surcouf, the warrior of the seas, a name that has long been a legend.
In contrast to the simple pirates, the Corsairs were endowed with a letter to caper of their royal government. This lettre de cour officially legitimized them to raise enemy ships. Thus, the Corsairs deported the enemy crews to enforce ransom demands. Book had to be carefully listed on the captured goods. A share was taken to the king. In return for this, the Corsairs were allowed to call at French ports with their ships in order to supply themselves with provisions or to make repairs. Even specially founded joint stock companies equipped the Corsair ships, and they speculated for rich loot. In the middle of the 17th century, the Cape passages became customary law. France was therefore practically in permanent conflict with other lake nations, especially the English. The Corsair area of operations ranged from the Caribbean, where Spanish treasure ships crossed, to Southeast Asia, where merchant ships loaded with spices were promising rich prey. A particularly lucrative variant was commerce triangulaire, the triangular trade. Here, ships sailed from Saint-Malo to West Africa, where they exchanged their cargo for slaves. They sold them with huge profits to the plantations in Brazil, the Caribbean, and North America. Then they sailed back to their home port after a year-long ride. Many Corsairs achieved great prosperity, became ship owners, and respected members of the honorable society. Among the most famous are the later ennobled René Duguay-Trouantour, who captured more than 300 ships and plundered Rio de Janeiro at the beginning of the 18th century. Of course, Robert Surcouf, who was one of the last Corsairs of Saint-Malo, became the horror of the English and acquired a huge ability until the beginning of the 19th century. The reason? The era of the Arends ended at the same time after the Napoleonic Wars and the reorganization of Europe. The guerre de course, the state-sanctioned Kaperskifer voyage, was abolished.